So right now we have volume. We don't have a picture, but we can go with volume. It's coming. Okay, it's coming. So we can get going. So on E1, it's a highway closure and dedication removal bylaw 5558 5597. My recommendation is that we move first and second reading, and that the public hearing not be scheduled until the application for the entire.
I will second
project.
that, Mr. Mayor.
Okay. I'll just take a motion from council on that. Do you want to move that?
I'll move it. Yep, absolutely.
Seconder, Councilor Davis. So Councilor Long, and then Councilor Richter.
Well, I was gonna move it. I guess I'm happy with that as long as we get it moving. It's an important project.
Okay. And Councilor Richter, did you wish to speak to it?
Yeah, I just want to make sure that we do have a public hearing opportunity on this particular road closure relative to this particular development, and that the people of Fort Langley are well aware of what's going on up there. So I'm happy to move that motion and support it.
Great, thank you. So with that, I will.
No, Your Worship.
Councilor Long, I thought you. Okay, Councilor Long.
So, Your Worship, I'm a little concerned because the report does talk about two specific right-of-ways that are being closed. One is the lane, which was anticipated to be closed all along, and the other one is the road. So I just want to make sure, through you to staff, Your Worship, that should we be separating it and perhaps passing more reads on one or the other, or can we make sure that everyone understands, how the layout is on this? You've got the lane, and then you have the road, and we need to proceed in some respect.
I believe it can all go as it is now, because when it comes back, we'll have a very clear definition of what the lane and the road is. But Mr. Steffi, I see he's popped on the screen. Do you want to add some comments?
Is he nodding?
That's correct, Your Worship. That's exactly right, what you said.
Good stuff. Thank you.
All right, excellent. Anybody else?
Yes.
Okay, I will know.
Oh, yep. I have a question.
Oh,
no,
Councilor Richard, sorry.
So I thought that what Councillor Long said there was slightly confusing. I just want to make sure what we're voting on here. And that is that we're giving it first and second, and it will come back for third. It will go public hearing and third.
With the application.
With the application. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, with that, I'll call the question. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Carries unanimously. Okay, so we're going to go back to the beginning of the public hearing, and as our procedure bylaw states, I will ask for a motion on each one of them. And first of all, to go to, I'm being waved by the clerk. Yes.
We've already passed C1.
Oh yeah, Councilor Woodward. Okay, which one would he be in? Which one? Canada's one? Okay.
Yeah, it'll be D5.
Yeah.
D7.
So deal with D7 first. Okay, is council okay with that?
Before he comes back, okay.
Yep, good idea.
Okay. So go to D7, and so right now I need a motion to proceed with third and fourth reading. This one can go directly to third and fourth reading, I believe. Yeah, third and final. So I need a motion to go to consideration for third and fourth reading. Moved by Councilor Whitmarsh. Second, Councilor Kunst. Okay, so there's no discussion. I just need a call the question. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, so now we can have someone to move third and fourth reading of D7.
I'll move third and fourth.
Councilor Whitmarsh moves it. Second, Councilor Kunst. Discussion, Councilor Kunst. You're on mute.
Yeah, questions. Loud. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now. Yeah, so start over. Yeah.
Okay, sorry. I just gotta get taking a few minutes here. One sec here. Shoot. Okay, so basically, if we have a couple of people who want to open up in the commercial area, how are we going to determine who? What's the criteria? Because if we can only have one in a commercial area, how are we going to choose from? Say, if we have 5 applications.
Mr. Steffi?
The discussion will be council's, Your Worship. Council will have to determine the suitability of one over the other based on the specifics of the application. That will include the specific location, even though they may be in the same neighborhood, there may be some differences in terms of the proximity to some other either favorable or objectionable use. So those are things that the council will consider as part of a site by site and application by application specific zoning considerations that come forward.
So would we be, as a municipality, more leaning towards a government, or are we gonna, are we gonna have a policy around that? Like what would sort of be our, because I know some municipalities only want to have government regulated cannabis retail.
This bylaw allows for both government and or private. We haven't differentiated between them. So basically, based on the application, if 2 or 3 come at the same time, we'd have to make that determination based on a lot of criteria. Mr. Sefi?
Typically, Your Worship, thank you for the opportunity to speak again. Typically, applications come forward as they are received. In other words, when they have met all the requirements and have been through the process, they are brought forward. What staff can do is when an application does come forward and is ready for presentation to council, and if there are other applications that are sort of lagging behind in terms of the process that they're on, staff can make a point of advising council that even though this application is in front of you, please be advised that there are other applications pending, other processes that are underway, and they will likely come to you in the near future. So we can make a procedural, I guess, step that makes sure that is done.
What can the public expect as far as processing time? Like when could we see our first retail outlet?
Well, I don't believe we have received any applications at this point. Mr. Richardson can correct me if I'm wrong, but typically it would take something around 6 months before they are through the process of evaluation by staff to make sure that all the technical issues have been addressed. And I think around the 6-month mark is for something like this likely a reasonable horizon. Mr. Richardson?
With Your Worship's permission, I would concur with Mr. Sefi, noting that there's a provincial requirement for approval prior to council considering final reading. So that could, depending on their time frame, extend that time frame. But as Mr. Sefi has outlined, it's a text amendment process, which is relatively straightforward.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Long?
Thanks. So I'm understanding that it's really not really a race, but it is a matter of timing then, because I mean, would we be engaging several proponents, or would, as soon as we get one, wait for it to go through and then before another one comes?
Well, Your Worship, if you recall, there are some criteria or at least some guidelines that council will consider. So even though in theory it is possible that there will be multiple applications in the same neighborhood, in the same community, I think in practice, when you think about it, the availability of properties, the suitability of the properties, the location, the servicing, all of those things will likely filter some I guess some of the applicants or potential applications out, and not necessarily result in timing being the only consideration, or at least, beating the.
Did I also hear that provincial approval has to come first too? So that's another one, is it? Does provincial approval have to come first?
No, provincial approval is not needed.
Mr. Richardson referred to
License.
province in the process.
Is there a licensing, Mr. Richardson? You can clarify.
We lost him. Mr. Richardson, are you still there? Because if you are, you're muted. We'll go to Councillor Kuntz had a question then perhaps.
Yeah,
after that.
sorry, I just have one more question. If we're allowing 8 in our community, but we're regulating that they be 200 meters from each other, do we really need to regulate that if we're really not going to allow more than one in each community? Or is that just like a safeguard? Or because it just makes me think that, well, maybe we're actually going to allow more than one in a community.
It may be in time, but I think we're copying the liquor stores where there's a certain spacing between them, and that may
Right.
be coming down the road. I mean, I can't foresee what future will be. Mr. Sefi?
So, Your Worship, yes, I have to correct my earlier statement. There is a need for provincial approval, provincial license. In other words, sorry, it's not an approval, it's a license that's required by the province to be issued. But they've advised that if local governments endorse applications, they will likely not oppose them. And then the other part of it is, I guess, in terms of the requirements, they are guidelines in the policy, so it's not a bylaw. Council can always go outside of its own policy provisions and consider something despite the policy. So if council deems it appropriate to allow for more than one in a particular community based on public interest that includes public input, council is certainly in a position to do that. There's nothing stopping council.
Okay.
Thank you. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, I'm going to call the question. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Seeing none, it carries unanimously. Okay, we'll now ask Mr. Woodward back. Councilor Woodward, I should say. There he is. All right. So while you were gone, we dispensed with D7 also, which I understand you being a conflict. So.
That's great. Thank
Okay,
you.
so now we'll start with D1. And at this point, I'll ask for a motion to proceed with the reading.
So moved.
Councilor Long, second.
Long.
Have a second? Second to that? Councilor Kunst? And just a vote, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Any opposed? Seeing none, we can now move
Sorry, Mr.
with
Mayor,
third reading.
Sorry, Mr. Mayor, this is Councillor Woodward.
Councilor Woodward, yes?
Yeah, I'm just getting back into the flow of
Yep.
the meeting. I wasn't quite sure where we are, what that.
We're in D1 in the public hearing.
D1, so we're voting on third and.
Yeah, we're voting on third reading. So we dispensed with D7
Yeah.
while you're still out because of your conflict.
Yeah.
Is that
So
appropriate?
for D1, yeah, I did want to speak to D1, but I definitely am opposed to D1, so I want to be.
Okay, well, we got to get the motion on the table first.
Okay.
So far, we've just moved to.
Yeah, so I want to be recorded as opposed for considering third reading at this time.
Okay, sure. So thank you. So Councilor Woodward is opposed. So it still carries on 2/3 vote. So at this point, I'd ask for a motion for third reading on D1.
Moved.
Councilor Long moves it. Councilor Whitmarsh seconds it. So now I'll open it up to discussion. Councilor Richter.
Yes, thank you. I'm curious to understand why Councillor Woodward doesn't want to give this third reading right now.
Well, that's up to him, but I think you need to just. I
No,
don't think we can.
I mean, we're all dealing with a new way of doing things here, but I'd like to understand his logic if he'd be willing to explain it.
I'll be against it.
Okay, so Councilor Woodward, you're next on the speakers list.
Yeah, no, there's no debate or discussion.
No, there's no
on
debate.
whether or
It's
not
just
we
a vote.
consider
That's right.
Third reading at this time, so I mean, I'll speak to it if the chair will allow it.
You can speak to the third reading, but
Yeah, so
on
I'll speak
the
to third
motion,
reading.
there is no debate.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so I'm not allowed to explain that, and I don't really want to bog down on that. I think you could probably infer from my comments to come here. I don't support the application in any form, certainly not in this form. In the OCP or the neighborhood plan for this area, this particular development is designated mixed use, and they're not providing mixed use because they have a exclusion within the text of the neighborhood plan, which somebody lobbied for at some point, and it's not right what's occurring here. In the Township of Langley, we don't seem to prioritize or value mixed-use neighborhoods.
and this is yet another example of that. This development should not be approved. Live work is not mixed use, and someone should not be allowed to get a text line item to exclude them from the land use planning within the neighborhood plan. So I'll leave it there. I don't expect that this will not be approved anyway, but I certainly don't support it. And I think it's yet another example of where the Township of Langley and this council and historic councils just don't prioritize mixed use neighborhoods in Willoughby. Thank you.
Thank you. So before I call the question, Ms. Bauer, is there any more public submissions to any of these before I close the? Just want to take a look. Something popped up in my email. No. Okay. Great. Okay. I see no more speakers, so I'm going to call the question on this. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Councilor Woodward opposed. Anybody else opposed?
Councillor Richter.
Councilor Richter is opposed. And Councilor Woodward. So carries. Councilor Woodward, Councilor Richter opposed. Move on to D2. And D2, this will also be a motion to go to third reading. So I need someone to move that we would take this to third reading. Have a motion, please.
So moved.
Councilor Long, is there a seconder? Councilor Kunst, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Carries unanimously. Someone wish to move third reading of D2? Councilor Woodward moves it. Second, Councilor Kunst. Discussion, Councilor Richter.
Yeah, I just want to say I'm really opposed to moving streams. This just doesn't bode well environmentally for the future. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Opposed?
Opposed?
Councilor Richter opposed. Councilor Davis opposed. Motion carries. Thank you. Move on to D3, and this will be for third reading. Could I have a motion to move to third reading?
Moved.
So moved.
Whitmarsh, second by Councilor Ferguson. Discussion on, now call the question. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Opposed? Anybody opposed? Not opposed. Carries unanimously. We move on to third reading. I need a motion for third reading for D3.
Move third.
Councilor Ferguson, second by Councilor Kunst. Discussion, Councilor Richter.
Yeah, I just want to note that there are 26 significant trees on this property and only one will be retained.
Okay, thank you. Any other discussion? Seeing none, I'll call the question on D3. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Opposed?
No.
Councilor
Opposed.
Richter and Councilor Arneson.
Yep.
Opposed. Thank you. That's the two opposed, so the motion carries. Thank you. We move to D4. D4 is also for third reading. Could I have a motion to move D4 to third reading? Councilor Davis moves it. Seconder? Have a second?
Long.
Councilor Long seconds. I'll call the question to move this to third reading. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Opposed? None opposed. It carries unanimously. Now need a motion for third reading on D4. Have a motion?
Moved.
Councilor Whitmarsh. Councilor Davis seconds. Discussion. Councilor Richter.
Again, there are 109 significant trees on this property and only 33 will be retained.
Thank you. See no further discussion. I'll call the question on D4. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Opposed?
Opposed?
Opposed.
Councilor Richter and Councilor Arneson opposed. The motion carries. We went to D5, and D5 is for, just want to make sure I got this correct, for third reading. Okay, so D5.
I'll move it.
Okay, we've received a submission at 7 p.m. for D5, so I'm not going to be calling for a question because council hasn't had an opportunity to read that submission. So
right.
that'll be moved on to the next meeting. So we'll now move on to D6, which is for third and final reading. So I need a motion to move it to third and final reading. Can I have a motion?
Moved.
Councilor Whitmarsh, the seconder. Can I have a second? To to move it to third final?
Long.
Council Long, call the question. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Opposed.
Council Woodward opposed. It carries. We move on to third and final. Can I have a motion for D6 for third and final?
I'll move it.
Council Whitmarsh, is there a seconder? Council Davis? Any discussion? Council Richter?
Yes, I am opposed to this on the basis of traffic flows in the area as well as parking considerations.
Okay, thank you. Any other discussion? See none, I'm going to call the question. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed?
Opposed?
Opposed.
Okay, Council Richter is opposed. Council Arneson opposed. Is there any other opposed? I didn't hear. Okay, the motion carries. Third and fourth carries. With that, that takes us to the close of our meeting. I'll ask for a motion to terminate.
Termination.
Council Davis moves termination. Is there a
Second.
seconder? All those in favor?
And might I say, Mr. Mayor, you've done a very good job
Thank you.
handling this
Excellent job.
Zoom meeting. Well done.
Very
It's
well.
interesting. New way of doing things. And
Yeah,
hopefully this
no,
get better.
no,
Well,
no.
thank you very much for your patience.
If I can do it, anybody can.
There you go. You betcha.
Boy, we could even have committee meetings like this, couldn't we?
We
Goodbye.
can do anything. Bye, Bob. Great week. Have a great week.
Yeah,
All the
good
best.
night.